So we'll start with Doppler effect. What exactly is Doppler effect? If we have studied about sound, Doppler effect also is related to sound. It's related to light waves also, but is not part of a syllabus. Our syllabus includes only the Doppler effect for sound waves. And we have dealt, when we talk about sound, two things are very important. And two important characteristics of sound is frequency and intensity or decibel level. Okay. And see, just imagine if somebody is playing piano. So you press one particular key on the piano, you hear a particular frequency. If you press an adjacent key, you will hear a sound of slight different characteristics. What would change? The frequency will change. And those who have good knowledge of music, they can easily distinguish between different frequencies. They can resolve, yes, this frequency is not same, this is higher frequency, this lower frequency. So our mind can sense with what frequency is the air particle oscillating, or what is the frequency of the sound which is emitted by a sound source. Then sound source can be many things. Okay. But what happens is, suppose you just imagine there's a piano and somebody is playing piano, somebody strikes a keynote. And when we talk about sound, the sound also we can talk of two things. See, something you just hit a particular key, it creates a sound note which travels. And the key note also, so if suppose if somebody strikes a key here, the sound gets created here. The sound will travel. If the person is standing here, he will hear the sound after a particular period of time. And other person is standing far will hear little later. So the sound will pass through this person, and this sound will reach after a time which is equal to distance by speed of sound. And if the distance is double, it will take twice as much time. Okay, the sound travels. And so if we just strike one key, it's a different thing. And if a siren can is there, that's a continuous sound. So we know there are two kinds of sound. So we have to distinguish between those two. So let's say, so here, suppose there's a kind of siren which is emitting a sound of constant frequency. And somebody who has, either you have a kind of a meter which tells you what is the frequency, or you are so smart, your mind is so smart, you can listen to the sound and tell what the frequency is. So you observe a frequency, and this frequency here, whatever frequency it is, makes air to oscillate here, you will hear the air, this air also will oscillate with same frequency. You can hear the frequency. So what is Doppler effect? Yes, the frequency created by source and observer are normally same, but not always same. When does this frequency changes? When the source start moving. Just imagine if the source here, which could be a siren mounted on a ambulance. If ambulance is stationary, you hear certain kind of sound. When ambulance start moving, which can be towards you, away from you, or certain angle. So that is the case of source in motion. If source start moving, suddenly we notice here the frequency at which the air oscillate will change. The frequency oscillation changes. Similar way, the observer is standing here. He is on a bike. So if this he hears the siren here, when he is at rest, he hears certain frequency. But when this observer start moving on his bike or running or whatever, in towards source or away from source, suddenly he'll notice the quality of sound has changed. What has changed? The frequency has changed. So this topic relates to the observed frequency may be different from frequency emitted by the sound source. Why written maybe? Because we'll see later, if we move in a perpendicular direction, the frequency does not change. Only when we move along the line, or our motion has to have some component along the line joining source and observer, then only frequency changes, not in the perpendicular direction. That's why I written maybe. So observed frequency may be different from frequency emitted by sound source due to relative motion between source and observer. So if either observer moves or source moves or both of them move, if that motion happens, the frequency changes. That's what this topic is about. And we'll calculate the relationship between apparent frequency, or you may call as observed frequency, the actual frequency of sound which is emitted. Actual frequency depends on how is actual frequency created, because something has to oscillate. Some membrane or some surface has to oscillate, which makes air particle to oscillate at particular frequency. And to even before we go into kind of understanding Doppler, I'll just give you some brief overview. So when we talk about frequency, this is the three terms which are related. What are related terms? Speed at which the sound travels, V, is equal to F, and lambda, frequency and lambda. So these are related terms. So if the frequency has to change, some other term also must change. Frequency alone cannot change. So what has to happen? Frequency will change. Either this speed of sound has to change or lambda has to change. So for F to change, either lambda has to change, and we'll see later what causes lambda to change. The motion of source causes wavelength to change. We'll see how that happens. And second thing is, how does V change? See, V depends on the medium. But if the sound, suppose we make a clap sound here, then suppose somebody claps here, or somebody presses a piano key here, this sound will reach this person at a certain speed. But if this person start moving towards the sound source, the sound of clap sound will reach him faster. It's not that speed of sound has changed. The apparent speed has changed because observer has started moving. So what changes V? Not the motion of source. Motion of observer changes the speed of sound observed by this observer. So speed changes because of motion of the observer, and wavelength changes because of the source. And when any of the two changes, the frequency also changes. So we'll keep this in mind. It is V is equal to F lambda. If one of the parameters, if both of them change, frequency may change. And we see later, this point we'll understand here. V changes, this is easy to understand here. See, this is something, the speed at which the sound is coming towards you. If you start moving, the apparent speed will change. We know the relative speed. Okay, so that changes V. Motion of observer changes V, and motion of source changes wavelength. That is what we need to understand. Okay, so these two lead to change in, but both of them lead to change in frequency. Okay, let's in this case also, let's take a source here. This is a point-like source. In all cases, we are not dealing with line source or something. A source which is like a point-like source which emits sounds in all directions. So point-like source, it emitting sound waves. It has a frequency of F naught, or we can say the time period is T. What does time period means? This time period is for particles, air particles, to complete one full oscillation at any point. So we understand. So either frequency. So if we can calculate T also, if we calculate time period of oscillation, we can arrive at frequency. Okay. So air molecules will oscillate with frequency F naught. Which direction? So this is something, this is kind of snapshot shown. This snapshot shows displacement of various particles along the path from source to observer. So if at a particular instance of time, this is a snapshot. So what does this particular point? So what does this mean? This particular point, this is a displacement. So this figure means the point, the air molecule which has this mean position at this particular instance, it is at right extreme. It has displaced in this direction. This particle negative here, this particle has moved in the negative amplitude, and this particle is still at the mean position. So this is something I'm just repeating, understanding of longitudinal wave. So all molecules are oscillating with frequency F naught. Which direction? Along the direction line. We can say it oscillates in the radial direction, direction radiating from the source. But we are only concerned with one direction here. We are concerned with the motion of sound from the source to the observer, which is straight line. Okay. So the snapshot. What is wavelength here? If you have a step shot here, we understand what is the wavelength. So when we look at this, we find it easy to understand what is crest is. All these points are indicate crest, and distance between two successive crests is a wavelength. So what is wavelength here? The distance between two successive crests. I marked all the points here. So rather than looking at all waves here, I'm concentrating only on these red dots. What are the red dots? Red dots indicate position of crest. So these are the points, these are the positions of particles which are at maximum positive amplitude, which is called crest. So all crest, what is the distance between crest here? Crest distance between successive crest is wavelength. You know the definition. Okay. So this observer here. So when this crest reaches the observer, what does crest reaching observer mean? Crest reaching observer means the air molecule at the position of observer has this kind of displacement. That's crest mean. and it as one crest move, and then when the second crest reaches here, so between the first crest reaching and second crest reaching, what has happened here? The air molecule at the position of observer has completed one full oscillation. So successive crest received at the observer position indicates one complete oscillation. So so what is frequency? There's another way I'll define frequency, which makes understanding later parts easy. So what is frequency here? So wavelength is simple. Lambda wavelength is distance between two successive crests. So if we can plot wave shape here, this becomes my wavelength. What is frequency at a point? Frequency at this point, suppose this person here can actually count how many crests are passing him. You know, we can count this crest in case of, suppose waves are created in a lake. You can see the waves crest moving out. There we can actually see the crest and we can count how many crests have crossed in a second. Assume that somehow it can be counted here. I can say the frequency, another way of defining frequency at this observer is number of crests crossing that point in unit time. In 1 second, how many crests have crossed this person is the frequency observed by this person. That's one way. Or other way, define how we can calculate frequency here. Let me count from the time I have received first crest here, how much time it has taken for second crest to reach me. What is first crest and second crest? The one full oscillation is completed. If I can calculate capital T, which is the time between two successive crests reaching this person, if I calculate the T, inverse of that becomes frequency. What is frequency? Number of crests passing a point in unit time, or 1 by time period, which one is, what is time period? Time interval between two successive crests. So since we are talking about crest, I can focus only on the crest and ignore the rest. Let's see how do we remodel this whole question and how do we make it simpler. So what is the speed of wave here? The speed of wave is when we have, if we can find wavelength here, and if we can find frequency here, product of the two is speed of wave. So far, we have not done anything new. Now let's look at this. What I do here, I'll replace all the crest here with tiny little balls. And the way all crests are moving the speed of sound, we'll assume that tiny balls also moving the speed of sound. So we'll remodel, because I think talking of crest is, first of all, crest is not easy to pronounce and it's not so much of fun. And balls are more fun. So we can remodel the whole thing as if, so what is sound source here? Sound source also creates crest and trough. So what we think of sound source as, if sound source has a frequency of 100. We can think of sound source a frequency of 100. It means it creates a crest every 1 by 100th of second. The frequency is 100, it means it is emitting a crest every 100th of a second. So rather than crest, let's imagine what is the sound source. The sound source emits a tiny little ball at a frequency equal to sound frequency. It is emitting tiny little ball, and what speed it emits the ball? It emits the tiny ball at a speed of sound. So if it emits the ball here, so rather than thinking of sound source which involve oscillation, we focus only on the crest, and crest can be taken as a tiny little ball, a point-like thing. So source is emitting balls at a frequency equal to sine frequency, and all balls are emitted at what speed? It is emitted at speed of sound. Is this understood so far, Shreya?
Yes, sir.
So if frequency is 200, how many balls will be emitted by the source? See, like this is throwing away balls. How many balls it will throw in a second if frequency is 200?
1 by 2.
1 by 200. Every 1 by 200 second will throw a ball. Or if I count in 1 second, how many balls it will throw? 200 balls it will throw. And what speed it will throw? Speed of sound is 340. It is also throwing balls which are speed of 340. And we'll assume all this is happening in gravity-free space. So whenever the ball is thrown here, if the gravity-free space, there's no acceleration, which is pretty nice. So imagine the whole thing is happening in the space. All these balls will keep traveling in the constant speed. All balls will keep traveling in the constant speed. And Shreya, will that distance between two balls will be constant or will it vary? Can you think of what will the distance between two balls? Can we find the, suppose frequency is 200. So it is emitting 200 balls in a second, which is, we can, ball is nothing but we understand ball implies crest. It is emitting 200 balls and each ball is traveling at a speed of 340 meters per second. What would be the distance between two successive balls? Shreya, can you think of?
Wavelength, right, sir?
No, wavelength. So you are done it. Can you think of other way also? How else we can tell what is the distance between two successive balls? Jaideep, can you try and tell what is the distance between two successive balls?
It is the velocity into the time period.
Velocity into time. Because the ball is thrown at a speed of 340 per meters per second. So what is the distance? The distance will be, and what is the time interval between two successive balls? 1 by 200. So distance between two successive balls, which is wavelength, is same formula only. It will be 340 into 1 by 200. All balls will travel with the spacing of same spacing equal to lambda. It will keep traveling. Now what happens if the balls are traveling here? So Jaideep, do you see yourself in this figure anywhere? Where are you?
Observer, sir.
You are observer. And if you are observer, what is your task now? You have to catch these balls. You are catching this ball. All the balls are coming. It's nice. You like catching balls? It's fun. But you may drop some of them. You may drop some catch. But okay, here you are catching the balls here. So if we can count, two things we can count. Either you can count what is the number of balls you catch in a second. That's the frequency. Or you can calculate from the time you catch one ball, how much time further it takes to catch the next ball. That's the time period. So if I calculate time period, inverse of that becomes frequency. So when this observer is coming here, for him the frequency depends on what is the frequency at which the balls are reaching him, or the time period or time interval between two successive balls reaching him. Either thing, if I can calculate, I can calculate frequency. So this is how we have taken the sound into a model where source emits balls at a frequency of sound frequency at a speed equal to sound speed in a gravity-free space. So all the tiny little balls are traveling and it will reach the observer. It will reach at a certain frequency. It will reach at a certain distance. The distance is equal to wavelength. Frequency is equal to frequency observed here, and time period will be equal to time between two successive balls. If I can calculate, if I have stopwatch here, if he catches first ball here, and then I calculate what is the time it has taken, time interval between two successive balls reaching him. If I calculate the time, inverse of the time is frequency. Okay, so far, Bhagyashree?
Yes, sir.
Is so far clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
You like these balls or no? You like waves better or balls are better? Catching balls are better or counting crests are better?
Catching balls are better, sir.
Better, but don't make sure whether you don't count it properly or don't drop it. Okay, so catching only problem is if you drop the catch, yes, you drop the catch, you lose the match kind of things. Okay, so we understood the frequency, speed at which traveling, what is the frequency we'll observe here. We know how to calculate and all those things. Now let's apply. If we have understood this, is simple unaccelerated motion, which we like, no change in velocity. It makes simple. So let's see that one and let's go to that calculation. So let's see this here. So let's imagine. So this is source here. This source, what does T indicate? T is the time period, which is inverse of frequency. So at T is equal to 0, a source starts throwing balls at a frequency F or at a time period T. If the frequency is 100, what is T here? T is equal to 1 by 100 a second. So if I look at the, if I take a picture where the source is here. So at this is T is equal to 0 starts. So the first ball he will throw at time T is equal to 0. Second ball he will throw at 1 by 100 second T. Third ball he will throw at 3T. Fourth ball it will throw at, this is, okay. So every time interval of T is keep throwing a ball. So how would the figure look like at after time 1 capital T? What would happen? T is equal to 0, just thrown one ball. So in time interval T, that ball would have traveled a distance is equal to speed into T. It has traveled a distance V into T. What is the V here? Is speed at which the ball is traveling. The first ball which was thrown at T is equal to 0 has reached here and he's about to throw the second ball. So this is where the first ball is, this is where the second ball is. So effect of motion of source. So this is something which is at rest. Now let's understand effect of what happens the person who's throwing the ball. If the person starts moving, we are trying to understand effect of motion of a person who's throwing the ball, which is same as source. What happens if the source start moving? How does it change the wavelength? So first we'll see what would it look like if the source does not move, and then we'll see what happens, what is the effect of source moving. The effect of motion of source at t is equal to 0, a ball is emitted by the source. At time t is equal to after one time interval, what will happen? The first ball would have moved a distance lambda naught in all direction, but we are concerned only in one direction. Okay, actually sound emits in all direction. We are looking at only one direction towards the observer. It would have moved a distance lambda naught, and the source is about to throw the next ball. The next ball is about to emit. This is how the picture will look like at time is equal to capital T. Can you imagine how would it look like at 2t? So 2t, what happens? The first ball at t is equal to 0. This has traveled a distance for time interval 2t. The first ball has traveled for a distance 2t. So this ball has reached here. The second ball is here, and third ball is about to throw. This is how the balls will look like. So you can easily imagine the previous things also. This is what we see here. We will see all these balls traveling in this direction, radial direction, with a spacing of v into t. Are we clear where from the spacing has come? V into t is the spacing, because this is how it is happening. Now let's see what happens at time 3t. We'll observe 3 balls at a spacing of lambda naught, which is vt, traveling the speed of sound and in that medium v. That's how the figure will look like. Vikram, is it clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
You can see all the balls?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's see. So what you have done here, so this is where the person, you suppose you are the person throwing the ball, you are throwing the ball. You know who's catching the ball?
No, sir.
I just now told you're not paying attention.
Jaidev, sir.
Jaidev is catching the ball. You don't see him, it doesn't mean he's not there. He's hiding somewhere. So you are throwing the ball. Initially, what you have done, just imagine earlier, you were standing at a place, you are throwing the ball in a gravity-free space. Since it is gravity-free space, you can see the ball moving in the same direction which you have thrown at the constant speed. Now what happens? You start moving. You get tired of standing at one place. What happens when you start moving? That's what we need to understand. Okay. So let's remember the source also moves in the direction of wave at a speed vs. This is speed which Vikram starts moving. Which direction? He starts moving towards right, towards Jaideep. He wants to talk to Jaideep or maybe pick up a fight. So something start moving the speed vs. How would this figure change? Can you all imagine how would this figure look like? This is a snapshot taken at t, 2t, and 3t. Can you all visualize how would the see? This is how would the figure change? See, all these cases I noticed here. All these cases, Vikram has remained at the same place. Will Vikram, if Vikram start moving, will it remain at the same place? Or will the source remain at the same place? The source also start moving. Let's see what will happen here. So at time t is equal to t, what will happen? The first ball, which is thrown from the origin here. The first ball has traveled a distance vt. But when he's about to throw the second ball, he is not at the same position. How much distance Vikram, source has moved? If speed is vs, source has moved by a distance equal to vs into t. The second ball is not thrown from here. Second ball is thrown from a distance, further distance vs into t. So what will the distance between two balls now? Earlier the distance was vt. Now the distance becomes lesser. Vikram, you notice what you have done?
Yes, sir.
So what you have done, you moved towards. So what have you done? Have you effectively changed the spacing between balls or not because of motion?
Yes, sir. I have moved towards Jaideep.
Jaideep. So what has happened? The distance between balls also, which were earlier vt, the distance becomes smaller. Effectively, wavelength changes. So if the position from where we keep throwing the balls, if this position changes, it changes the wavelength. Because the first ball has moved a distance vt, that will move. That doesn't affect what is happening after the ball is thrown. But if the person has moved here, what happened? The spacing between two balls will change. Wavelength will change. Can we calculate the new wavelength now? Source has moved a distance this way, and this is how it will look at time 2t. This is something it has moved after. In time t, the source has moved here. Another time 2t, it has moved further distance here, and 3t, it has moved further distance like this. And when we look all these cases, this was the case when source was at rest. This is the case when source is in motion. Here also we'll find balls will have equal spacing, but the spacing has become smaller. By what distance becomes smaller? It has become smaller by distance equal to distance moved by the source in time interval t. It has become lambda naught minus Vst. And what is the t here? T depends on the frequency. Is inverse of the frequency. If the frequency is 100, this t will be 1 by 100, and this is the speed at which source is moving. The faster the source moves, smaller the wavelength will become. Okay. So what has happened? So this is the case here. Also, due to the motion of source, the distance between successive balls have become lambda naught. Lambda naught was if the source was not moving. Now it has become lambda naught minus Vst. So lambda has got modified. And if I have to think of what is new lambda is equal to original lambda minus the distance moved by the source in one time interval. Okay. Anish, is this understood?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
You have followed so far?
Yes,
Is
sir.
this two figures clear? Yes, Vignesh?
So we still take the speed of the ball being released as the speed of sound only, right?
Yes, because that depends on your medium.
Okay, sir.
And so speed is with respect to medium, it is moving at the same source, same speed. So is it clear wavelength, why it is changing? Vignesh, can you tell me why wavelength has changed?
Because the source is moving, so the relative spacing between the two consecutive balls being released also will decrease.
Decrease. And had it moved in the other direction, what would have happened?
The spacing will increase.
Increase. So as simple as that. So what happens? This is when it is moving towards the observer. If the direction is opposite, if the motion happens, so motion of source changes the wavelength of waves emitted, but the time taken to ball the reach the observer. So this ball, what he has thrown here, this ball will still take the same time to reach Jaideep. The speed of ball depends on medium. This speed has not changed. It will still take the same time to reach the observer. First part. Now we come to the second part. Now we come to in terms of equation. Okay, so this is the source here. What has happened? Again, we come back to the same old figure. Source in motion, observer at rest. So who is moving here? Vikram is moving, and Jaideep is a lazy guy. He's standing here only. He's not moving. He will move later. We'll see that. So source in motion, observer at rest. The sound wave will have a wavelength of lambda naught minus Vst. It will be traveling the speed v with respect to the medium towards observer. Now, this is how it is moving. And we can visualize wave in terms of balls moving. Or we replace press with the tiny little balls. To calculate what is the frequency with which the ball reaches the observer, can we calculate this frequency here? How do we calculate the frequency? And we know this distance from the moment he catches first ball. How much further time it will take for him to catch the second ball? Is that difficult to calculate? The time will be equal to what? Distance by speed. That is the time interval. That will be a t value. Okay, let's calculate. So observed frequency is what? There are two ways of calculating frequency, Jaideep. I can calculate frequency of, 1 second number of balls caught by Jaideep will be equal to frequency. Number of balls received by the observer will be frequency. Or what we can do here, it is equal to 1 by time period. What is the time? From the moment he has caught one ball, what is the time it takes to catch the next ball? Time interval between successive balls reaching the observer. And what is the time here? Time is distance by speed. The distance is lambda naught minus Vst. Speed is v. Hence, I can calculate time interval. And that's a derivation, very simple derivation. So what is t dash here? T dash is equal to distance by speed. The distance between two successive balls is nothing but wavelength. And wavelength has got modified because source is in motion. This source is moving the velocity vs. Why we use suffix s? S indicates velocity of source. V indicates speed of wave in medium, and later on we'll come to VO. VO indicates the velocity of observer. So this is T dash, hence what is the frequency? Inverse of T dash is frequency. What is the observed frequency, which is not same as the frequency emitted? Frequency will be inverse of this. So this is V divided by lambda naught minus Vst. So what we'll do here, we'll multiply by this term, we'll multiply and divide by F naught. Original frequency. Original frequency is F naught. frequency emitted from here. So if I multiply this term with f naught in the numerator and f naught in the denominator, let's see what do we get here. In the denominator, this term also multiplied by f naught, and this term also multiplied by f naught. So numerator, this we retain as it is, f naught into v. What is f naught and lambda naught? This is nothing but f naught lambda naught is wave speed v. And what is t here? T is nothing but 1 by f naught, original time period. T is the inverse of original frequency. So this is Vs into f naught, this T into f naught is inverse of each other. So what is left? This is my formula. And very simple to arrive at. So observed frequency is f naught into V divided by V minus Vs. And if the source moves away from the observer, this is Vs is what? Vs is speed towards the observer. If it moves away, we'll inverse the sign of Vs. Vs will become, in place of minus, it will become plus sign. That's how it, so this is a kind of formula for observed frequency in case of source moving towards the observer. If it is moving away, the sound becomes reverse. And you notice what is happening here in the denominator is becoming smaller. It means frequency increases. So if the source keeps moving towards the observer, the frequency at which the balls will get received will increase because the spacing between them is getting reduced. Frequency will increase. If it moves away, frequency will decrease. Okay. Now we'll come to the second part. What happens if observer starts moving? If observer starts moving, now not the source. This is the source here. Source remains at rest if observer moves. And here, let's see, to understand that one, let's say the observer is at a distance d. So suppose at the source we make a clap sound. You know, this is like a thunderstorm. When there's a thunderstorm with the thunder sound, the person who's nearer will hear it first, and the person who's farther will hear it later. This is kind of some time lag. So if any sound note which is created here, it will reach this observer in a time interval which will depend on the distance as well as the speed of sound. And after how much time this observer will hear the sound? It will hear after time d by v. Because that's the speed at which the sound note is traveling towards observer. Now let's take the second case. In this case, what happens? Moment sound note is created, this observer starts moving. Compared to this observer, who will hear the sound first? Will this person hear sound first, or will they hear at the same time, or will this second person hear first? So there are two observers, one is at rest and second is moving. So we create a sound note by hitting a key on the piano. Tunk sound is made here. Will these two people both initially were at the same distance? A was at rest, B was in motion. Who will hear the sound first? Who will hear the sound first? Tejas?
Yes, sir.
Who will hear the sound first?
B, right, sir?
Why?
Because he's moving towards the...
Moving towards it. Effectively, what has happened? Because of motion of B, the what you may call as apparent speed of sound has changed. The sound appears to have reached him faster. Has the actual speed of sound changed? No. But for person B, the speed at which the sound reaches him has changed. So again, two important points here. When the source moves, it changes wavelength. When the observer moves, it changes velocity. So that's what we have to keep in mind. So effect of motion of observer, a sound note emitted by source will travel towards the observer with the speed v, which is speed of sound, which depends on the medium. But if the distance with source is d, it will reach the observer after time d by v. But if observer also starts moving, in fact, sound will approach him with the velocity v plus v naught. What is v naught here? Is speed at which observer is moving towards the source. So speed has changed now. So if I look at this, so here also, if all the balls which are emitted here, if source is not in motion, will this spacing here, will it remain lambda naught, or will the spacing change here? Will the spacing remain unchanged, or will it change? Dhanshri?
Yes, sir.
Will the spacing between balls, if the source is at rest, when the source is at rest, what would be the spacing between two balls? Will it be lambda naught, or will it change?
Will be lambda naught.
Will be lambda naught. Because unless the source moves, then only this changes. So all these balls are traveling towards the observer. So this, we notice one ball has been received. What I want to calculate, from the time I have received this ball, how much time does it take to receive the next ball? Can you calculate how much time this ball will take to reach from here to here? If this person is moving towards the speed v naught and this ball is moving the speed v, can we calculate the time t here? How much time this ball will take to reach him? And if we calculate the t, that is the time period between two successive balls being received. Inverse of that is frequency. Is that understood, Dhanshri?
Yes, sir, it is.
So can we calculate the time here from this figure? This figure, the distance is given. This moving velocity v, this moving velocity v naught. So what this distance is lambda naught. Which velocity should I divide by v naught or v plus v naught?
V plus V naught, sir.
V plus v naught. As simple as that. So time interval between successive balls, which is nothing but crest, reaching him is equal to distance by speed. Speed is, sorry, this is v, someplace v, lambda naught by c plus v naught. That's the time interval. So what will the frequency at which the balls will reach him? Inverse of the time interval. So what is the apparent frequency observed by the person here? Because he is moving towards the source. Apparent frequency is inverse of this. Okay, sorry, say this I put c here someplace. C plus v naught divided by lambda naught. Again, this term here, v plus v naught divided by lambda naught. We multiply by f naught in the numerator and denominator. When we multiply by numerator and denominator, because then we get this term f naught into lambda naught is nothing but wave speed, which is c or v. So this slide, I know somehow I written all terms as c. So this is the apparent frequency because of motion of observer. And here also we notice he will see see, just think of it. Jaideep, are you there now?
Yes, sir.
No, so you are standing here. The balls are coming towards you. You are in the space. All balls are traveling in the straight line. They are not falling down as it happens in case of gravity. And you are catching the ball here. You are catching certain number of balls in a second, but you get greedy. You want to catch more number of balls in a second. What will happen when you start moving in this direction? What will happen? Number of balls caught by you in a second will increase and the frequency will increase. And if you get lazy, if you move away, what will happen? Frequency will decrease. So this is very simple, and so this is something, derivation is not so important, and I have done derivation in a very different way because this derivation, okay, not for IP is not required, and though derivations should be such, it gives you better intuitive feel. So this, I think, gives a better understanding of what why the frequency changes, what is the effect of motion of, if you have to summarize now. What is this Doppler effect is about? Doppler effect is the frequency of a sound node as observed by the person may not be same as the frequency of sound emitted. It will change if there's a relative motion between either source moves or observer moves. But whenever this we calculate that one, will always, this condition has to be met. V has to be equal to F naught. This is when there's no motion at all. But if in case of relative motion, also this equation has to hold good. Now, why does frequency change if the source moves? Motion of source changes lambda. Motion of source changes lambda. So if lambda becomes 1.1 times, the frequency has to become inverse of 1.1 times. So that product remains same. So product remains same. So if lambda becomes, so basically this is source changes wavelength, and hence it has a inverse change in frequency. Motion of observer changes speed. And if speed changes, since wavelength is not changing, there's a corresponding change in frequency. So observer changes wavelength, sorry, source changes wavelength, observer changes V, and hence in both the cases, there is change in observed frequency. And if both moves, in this case, what you notice here, see, this case, the change has come in numerator here. This has come in the numerator. And if I write the previous formula, in case of source motion, F apparent frequency was equal to F naught. into V divided by V minus Vs. So effect of source comes in the denominator. Effect of observer motion comes in the numerator. And since when they both move towards each other, it tends to increase the frequency. This quantity in denominator, negative term implies increase in frequency. This in numerator, positive term implies increase in frequency. And what happens when both of them move? We combine those two. So next part, so motion of change changes apparent speed, proportional change in frequency. Wavelength remains unchanged. What happens when both are in motion? Let's look at the figure here. There are three velocities. Are we clear about these three? What is this wave velocity? This is the speed at which the sound travels in that medium with reference to the medium. This is V. Vs indicates a source speed. At what is the speed at which the source is moving? Vu indicates observer speed. And normal convention, we had taken both are moving towards each other. If this also will increase frequency, this also will increase frequency. This comes in the numerator, this comes in the denominator. So let's memorize the formula. Formula we must remember. And what is the formula here? When both source and observer move towards each other. We always keep in mind towards each other. This is a formula. F naught V plus VO, V naught V minus Vs. Right. Both cases, since both of these terms tend to increase the frequency. What if they are not moving towards each other? If yes, source is moving in this direction, but observer is moving away. What we need to do here, we need to reverse the sign of BO. So depending on if both are moving towards each other, the sign is plus minus, observer in the numerator, source in the denominator. You have to remember the formula. What I'm trying to tell also the sign convention. This is the formula for this sign convention. And depending on the motion, we change the sign here accordingly. If source is moving away, this minus sign becomes plus. If observer is moving away, this plus sign will change to minus. That's the only change we need to make. Rest of the chapter or rest of the questions are only making use of this formula. So if either or both are moving away, reverse the sign. That's what we need to do in case of, and that's all is there in case of Doppler. But there's another way of understanding Doppler. What we have done in so far, we have taken a linear motion. We have taken a one-dimensional view of Doppler. And this is something like an optional thing. Anyway, this topic may not be there. If we observe in two dimension, can you think of a two-dimensional? So suppose there's a lake here. You drop a piece of stone here. You can see the ripples moving out in a concentric circle. Why do we see? Can you all visualize seeing those ripples? And the ripples will make concentric circles. Why do we see those concentric circles? Who draws those circles? Why do we see those circles? Avirup, have you seen those circles?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me why does anyone draw the circles on the surface?
The disturbance moves away from the source.
So when we see circle, why do you see a circle?
At all points equidistant from the source, the phase will be equal. So all
so
points will
basically,
be at the
if you
same.
take the cross section, actually it means something like this. In our eyes, we see all the crest together. And if our eyes connect all the crest together and we connect all the crest together, it forms a circle. So the circle appearance comes because of formation of crest and trough. So we see something, we see all crest together, it forms a circle. If we join all the trough also, it will form a circle. So it's because of the surface gets disturbed like this, we see concentric circle. And that is two-dimensional view. That is like a two-dimensional view. So this is also interesting. I find it quite interesting. I thought some of you also might find interesting. Looking in a slightly different way also, a two-dimensional view. In a two-dimensional plane. And which plane are we talking about? We are talking about a plane containing source and observer. So there's always 2 points. We can take any plane, source and observer. And then we use something called wavefront. So as we drop a stone, we can see the wavefront. Wavefront is what? Locus of all points which are in the same phase. So basically, if I join all the crest have a phase angle of pi by 2. If I crossed all the crest together, whatever shape it forms, which in this case is a circle, that's called wavefront. The locus of all points which are in the same phase. And since the phase change travels with a constant speed, if I join all the points which are in the same phase, it will be equidistant from the source. So if I join a wavefront, if I form a wavefront, it will form a concentric circle. Just like a stone dropped in a still lake, the crest will form concentric circles, and spacing between two circles will be equal to wavelength, and the circles will form ever increasing. This radius of circle will keep on increasing. That's why the waves are traveling. And all the circle, this wavefront will move out, radially outward direction. What speed it will move? It will move with the speed equal to the speed of wave in that given medium. So it will form circle of radius increasing at speed of wave, or it will be radiating outwards by a distance lambda. So if I observe a particular circle, I will see what will the circle remain stationary? No, the circle will not remain stationary. The circle will radius circle will keep increasing, and in one time period, the radius of circle will increase by lambda. So that's what we talk about wavelength here. In one time period, the radius of circle will increase by lambda. So that's what happens, and I think this is something if you can visualize, that's what happens in case of a closest physical example is wave motion, what we observe in a still lake when we drop a piece of stone at a particular point. Okay, so we'll see something like this. This is how the figure will look like at if I have dropped the stone, and if t is the time period of oscillation, it will create oscillation. All this in that case of lake, water particle will start oscillating. We are taking a similar analogy for sound also. If I look at after time t, the wave would have moved a distance lambda. This is how the wavefront will look like at time t. Time t is equal to 0 is when I drop the stone, or we have created sound wave. Down time t0 we start. At time t, this is how it will look like. At time 2t, this is how it will look like. This at time 3t, this is how it will look like. 4t, 5t. This is how the wave will, this is how the shapes will look like. So this is a picture I have drawn at what time? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I think I have drawn 6 circles. Okay. This is the snapshot, what would look like at time 60. This is how, if I take a picture after time 60 seconds, this is how the figure will look like. This wave was created at time t is equal to 0. This wavefront was created at time t. This was created at time 2t. This was created at time 3t. And this is 4t. This is created 5t. And this is about to start. Jaideep, are you following this one?
Yes, sir.
Or you are tired catching the ball or taking rest now?
No, sir. I'm listening, sir.
Listening. Have you understood this figure?
Yes, sir.
You understood what I have written at t is equal to 0? When was this wave created?
At t equal to 0.
This was the first wave which was created. This is the second wave created at time t, third wave created. And like this, wave will move out. And this is how the waveform shapes will look like. So this, I hope this is not too complicated a figure to understand. I hope all of you followed. So this is what the picture will look like at time 60. And what will the spacing between any two wavefronts? All wavefronts are radiating outwards. All are moving outwards. So it keep moving. And you'll notice here, see if you look at the wavefront here, it looks like a circle. By the time the radius becomes large, it becomes like a plane wavefront. It becomes more and more plane. As the radius keeps increasing, the wavefront for a small area looks like a planar wavefront, which is relevant for some other cases. So this is the case, this is how the source will look like in case of we drop a stone. This is a slightly different case. Now coming to case of sound waves. If the source was to remain at rest, this is how the wavefront would have looked like if the source was at rest. But if the source starts moving, would we see a concentric spherical, concentric circular shapes, or we see something else? If the source is in motion, the second wave pulse, you see what we notice here, odd wave pulse here, these are all wave pulses, all have same center. Because all were created, where the center of this is the wave, first wave created, this also created at this point, that's the center of the circle here. Second wave also created the same point, third wave also created the same point. So all have the same center because all were created at the source was at the same point. It was not in motion. If source is in motion, the second wave pulse will not be generated from the same point as the first one. Hence, the center of circular wavefronts will shift. All will not be concentric. Is this making some sense? Alan,
Yes, sir.
have you understood this point here?
Yes, sir.
So can you visualize how would it look like? Okay, so basically what will happen, this was created at t is equal to 0. This was created at t. And so if we have those things, what will happen? Its center will indicate position of source at time t is equal to 0. The center of this circle should indicate position of source at time is equal to t. And if those centers of the position of source was not same, it will look like this. So before I go further, I think I missed one point. Let me repeat that point also. So what will happen in this case, if the person was standing here, all wave pulses will cross him and he will observe same frequency as the frequency of the source, because the distance between them is lambda and all are traveling the speed v. So he will observe same frequency as the source frequency. Now let's the case that we are taking a two-dimensional view. What happens if the sources start moving? This is how the wavefront will look like. What is the difference we notice here? This is the wave. Again, if we take similar thing here, this was created at t is equal to 0. This was created at time t. This was created at time 2t. This will be created at time 3t, 4t, 5t. And this is the snapshot taken at time t is equal to 60. Pranav? Pranav? What's one? Lakshita?
Yes, sir.
Are you following this?
Yes, sir.
You have understood what I have written here? What is 0t, 2t, 3t, 4t?
Not the last point. Can you just repeat this last one?
Okay. Well, basically, see, whenever we create a wave at a particular time, in time t, how much distance it will travel? If waves are traveling with speed v, it will travel a distance v into t. So it will form a circle of radius vt. At time 2t, it forms a circle of radius 2vt. Are you following that one?
Yes, yes.
So similarly here, the outermost wavefront was the first one which was created. That's why it has traveled maximum distance. So this is, if from t is equal to 0, we start creating sound waves. If I take a picture of wavefront at time equal to 60, this how we'll see the wavefront. This was the first wavefront created at time equal to 0. This second was created at time t, third one at 2t, 3t, 4t, 5t. Now, what would the center of this circle indicate? What would the center of this circle indicate? Vignesh, can you tell me what would the center of this circle indicate, this circular wavefront? So if I draw somewhere, I think the circle may be somewhere here. What is the circle? What is the center indicate here?
The distance traveled by the source in time 60.
No. What does this point indicate? Think again and tell me. This center of a circle corresponding to wavefront which was emitted at time t is equal to 0 will indicate position of the source at time t is equal to 0 when this wavefront was emitted. What would the center indicate?
Position of the source at time t is equals to 0.
Center of this circle will indicate position of source at time t is equal to t. And what has happened? By 60 it has moved. So why the shapes have become like this? From between time interval 60, the source has moved like this. Vignesh, is this clear now?
Yes, sir. So these are all longitudinal waves, right, sir?
No, these are all, okay. See, it doesn't matter whether longitudinal transfer, the basic result remains same. When we are joining all points in a particular phase, it doesn't matter whether longitudinal wave also will have some phase and transverse also will have something. Okay. So it will make, so are you understanding the difference motion of source? When the source was at rest, it would have created this kind of wavefront. Now it has created different kind of wavefront. Is this making some sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this is something is more basically is purely for fun. This is not for any exam purpose. It is just to give you a different understanding of Doppler. Okay, what we understand is snapshot at 6 outermost have traveled this has traveled a distance 6 lambda from the source, and where the source is at the center, and similarly other center of each wavefront responds to position of source when the wave was emitted, and since the source position keeps changing, the centers also has moved. Final point here, now there are two people here. The person is standing here. Now what we find here in this case, is this distance, will it be equal to lambda here? Is this distance lambda? I find this distance and this distance are not same. Here the distance is smaller, here the distance is larger, and which makes sense also. The source is moved in this direction. Same thing I'm presenting in different way. So here the wavelength is smaller, but both are traveling the speed equal to v. This also traveling v, this also v. So what will happen for him, since the lambda is smaller, this person will observe higher frequency, this person will observe lower frequency, and we can relate it to previous slides also. The reason this person will observe higher frequency, the source is moving towards him. This person will observe lower frequency because the source is moving away from. This is make like a two-dimensional view of what we have done in case of linear one-dimensional view earlier. If it is understood, it's good. Not understood, also very good. No problem. Okay. So this is something. So if source is in motion, wave fronts will look like this. And we notice the wave fronts are bunched closer here. Wavelengths become smaller. Here wavelengths become larger. All are traveling the speed of sound. So frequency observed here will be more. Frequency observed here will be less. Okay. So that's what this is the theory part of Doppler. So I'll stop here in terms of explanation.